Saiyan MGTOW here with over 9,000 opinions. Welcome to the video. So the last video cut off a little short. This one will be longer. So I'm just going to continue from the last video. Even if you are straight, talking to a bunch of 15-year-olds about how your sexual attraction is going to orgies, that is what this bill is about. It's not anti-gay. It's not pro-straight. It's age-appropriate sex talk for minors, the bill.
Not just sexuality in DeSantis' process. He's also passed an act called the Stop Woke Act, which limits the ways concepts related to systemic racism and sex discrimination can be discussed in schools. And to hear him tell it, laws like that are badly needed because the wokeness in schools goes way deeper than anyone might think.
Way deep.
I will have math books sent to my Department of Education for review, these textbooks. And they will do things like woke math. And I'm thinking to myself, 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's not 2 plus 2, well, let's have a struggle session over that. How do you feel about it? No. There's a right answer here.
I mean, out of context, he's completely right there. Numbers don't have feelings. If they did, this one would be sad, this one would be giggly, and this one would be exciting for a few minutes, but then the novelty wears off and it mostly just gets tired and sore. DeSantis has claimed that his state had to reject math books for containing indoctrinating concepts like race essentialism, especially bizarrely for elementary school students. Now that is a big claim, and if it sounds like bullshit to you, that's because it absolutely is. Reporters for these outlets combed through thousands of pages of elementary school textbooks and their reviews and couldn't find any such examples. And when the DeSantis administration eventually produced just 4 tiny snippets of what they claimed was objectionable material, 42 that came from grade school books, there is nothing about race, although one does suggest students practice with empathizing with classmates while they fulfill a lesson objective of identifying numbers from 1 to 5 in sequence. That is it.
Just wait.
So his big claim of woke math and race essentialism in grade schools is basically regular math and trying to teach kids not to be dicks to each other. A kind of math education that DeSantis himself, frankly, might have benefited from, as his solution to figuring out the difference between 1 and 3 questions seems to be yell until the other person stops talking. And the most recently, you might have heard.
Alright. Okay, this will be a big comment. At first, I was looking up information on these textbooks and couldn't find very much woke or racial examples in them. Google fed me 20 liberal bias articles on this. I thought I wasn't going to be able to come up with a rebuttal to this. I thought I was just going to say, well, the government shouldn't be in charge anyway. But have you heard of Genderqueer the book? It has pornography in drawn form. There are some topics that I do want the federal government regulating in all schools. Examples being explicit sexual material, abuse at school, i.e. physical or mental. Anyways, I did actually find some information to rebut Jon's hatred of DeSantis when I came across an article from Tablet Mag. Never heard of this publication before. This is the opening paragraph in the article. In an elementary school textbook, a math problem is framed by the cryptic question, how can you understand your feelings? Another asks students to write math biographies to soothe math anxiety. Controversy erupted last April when this textbook and 19 others were excluded from the Florida Department of Education's recommendations, amid ongoing furor over the role of race and sexuality in America's classrooms. Florida cited an obscure justification, the unsolicited addition of social emotional learning, SEL, in mathematics. The math anxiety essay prompt in a grade school math textbook. Talking about understanding your feelings in a grade school math textbook. Do I think this is the end of the world? No, of course not. Can't believe I'm making a video about this, but people like John just refuse to think that Republicans can do right. What? Build the wall? Never. Enforce the law on shoplifters? How hateful. Allow people to not wear COVID masks in the grocery stores? You gotta be kidding me. Not have psychology class during math class? How barbaric. Okay, back to our regular programming. So I'm going to talk about the two examples John put up on the screen that came out of grade school math textbooks. The first one is titled Social and Emotional Learning, subtitled Building Student Agency. It says you're going to be introduced to the 5 competencies of social and emotional learning. I repeat, the 5 competencies of social and emotional learning in a grade school math textbook. Math. The second one John put up on the screen is titled Lesson Objective, Content Objectives. The kids are supposed to count 1 to 5 and realize each number is 1 greater. Then it says Language Objectives, where you count out loud. Then it says SEL Objectives. Remember, SEL means social and emotional learning. There it says to build proficiency with social awareness by empathizing with your classmates. So you do math, then you take a break to think about how your classmate is different than you. Wow, great stuff. In grade school, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I feel bad that you have holes in your shoes and clothes. Sorry you're poor. I'm trying to empathize with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I understand that you are an African American descendant person. I am trying to become more socially aware about this while I do my math work. Haha, this is nuts. Come on, John. This is about race. It's asking for the kids to talk about race. Build proficiency with social awareness in 2023. And you think the brainwashed kids are not going to talk about race. Right. Now, in a healthy society, it wouldn't be about race. But in our society, run by race baiters, race hustlers, and anti-white haters, where grade schoolers are taught that all white people are racist, and it's great to be proud of your race unless you're white, then you don't have a culture, etc. It's inviting the race discussion, John, and you know it. It's inviting the ugly versus good looking, rich versus poor, tall versus short, male versus female, brown versus black, smart versus dumb, skinny versus fat, comments. This discussion is not for math class, gosh darn it. Now let's move on to the high school math textbook example provided by the DeSantis team. Did I skip something? No. It's titled Adding and Subtracting Polynomials. It starts with the words, what? Me? Racist? More than 2 million people have been tested for racial bias. Blah, blah, blah. Then it has charts with age group and political affiliation measured against how biased they are. Conservatives and old folks are very racially biased, don't you know? You sophomore in a math class, which has now become a race and politics discussion. Even if these charts are 100% true, we don't want this type of off-topic hot-button issue in math problems. We don't want to talk about the morality of the Iraq War in 10th grade math. And we don't want to talk about the trans issue or the corrupt banks. We just want to talk about Cindy and her fruit stand and how some of the fruit has more or less flies on them. So John put up the screen So John put up on the screen all the examples he could ever need to prove that social and emotional learning in math can be problematic, a distraction, and or a brainwashing session, and therefore should not be allowed. Now, yes, I do want a current topics discussion in class in 7th grade or whenever, outline run by the parents via email first. I do think it's good for young people to talk about their feelings and what makes everyone different, and how the Iraq War happened and how it was not so great at all, and this and that, and race relations now and in the past, and the myth of race and the reality of race. All age appropriate and parent approved. But just not in math class. Please, not in math class. The woke culture teaches race essentialism, John. This SEL learning in math is woke culture. Can't you see? Saiyan MGTOW here with over 9,000 thank yous for watching the video.